Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Lorelai. So we're in chapter 17, but this might very well just be an epilogue, as it were. We've defeated the Queen of Maggots and apparently burnt her and maybe destroyed her, and now we're going to this to where Jimmy the Traveler's body was supposed to be, and I guess we're gonna figure out if he maybe starved to death because we didn't feed him. But if we had fed him in the dead world, that may have actually trapped his mind and soul in the dead world, because there is that mythos of you shouldn't eat food if you happen to be a living person in the Elysian fields or in the afterlife. Um, we seemingly have gotten a pretty good ending in this game so far, in that Lorelai's alive, the sister Bethany is alive, and Zach, the boyfriend, is alive. In a funny way, this ending feels like something that a 18-year-old or thereabout teenage girl would want. She wanted to be free of her parents, and they're both dead now. She wanted to be living on her own with her sister and with Zach, and she's kind of gotten everything she's wanted. Uh, the other thing of interest, certainly, is that this street is the very first street that Downfall started in, so everything feels very cyclical. Time also feels like it is just all over the place. If you look up on the painting above there, there's kind of like a demigorgon monster in a ballerina outfit. I wouldn't be surprised if we walk through the store and we end up back in the afterlife and we can never escape the Queen of Maggots. I wouldn't be surprised if the game loops through and makes us play a second time.
12 Helen Road.
Hmm.
This is the place.
Yeah, there's perhaps, for a horror game, far too many references to the other two games in the trilogy, and inherently I think there's probably a problem with it being a trilogy in general. Um, it probably would have been better if the Cat Lady had stood on its own and Downfall had stood on its own, and then Lorelai had stood on its own. But with maybe just the Queen of Maggots showing up and specific references to maybe some people, where Lorelai feels like it is very much a bridging game that's connecting the events of Downfall and uh, and the Cat Lady. This totally looks exactly like the Cat
It's quiet
Lady's
inside.
apartment.
It's one of those prepaid meters.
Hmm.
You put coins in the slot to top it up. Is this the plant Jimmy told me about?
Interesting.
This is it. Jimmy's place. Has he really been sleeping all this time?
And yeah, this might very well be the Cat Lady's apartment. So
There it is!
I'll take the key. So Jimmy was not just a figment of your imagination. And so, do we then try and use the door? That opens door number 3. We're in. We can see the rock and roll uh, concert that we saw on the TV earlier, as one of the channels you could change to, is playing here. And I see coins, and I see.
There's some loose change. Should I have it? It would cover the price of the bus ticket.
It's not stealing money from people. And we can see the power's on.
Why is it on the floor? Is Jimmy a messy kind of guy?
It almost feels like Jimmy could have been a um, secondary romantic interest, and it's weird to have even one romantic interest in a adventure horror game.
That's a huge bathroom for a small flat like this.
Hmm. Yep. And a lot of this design doesn't look particularly decrepit. It just looks oddly designed to my eyes.
There's plenty of hair all over it. Gross.
Being a American. But I think particularly throughout all of the European countries, you do run into a lot of weirdness in the way things are designed and built. There's just inconsistency in plumbing and building and construction.
Are people still using these?
So we can either use the alarm clock, or we can try and just wake him up. And he is snoring, and here we can see kind of a six-winged angel, which, biblically speaking, angels did have 6 wings.
His body's here, but his spirit's still in the other world.
Let's see if we can wake him up.
Jimmy! Wake up, mate!
So, yeah, I don't think this is going to be as easy as we thought it would be. Well, I guess we're going to have to potentially try anything and everything. So let's use a cup of water.
It's a plastic cup. Smells of old squash.
Use this in the sink. Get more water. So I guess, are we going to splash them with water? Or do we take the coins and then we go put them in the electrical, which, will that turn on some loud rock music in somebody else's?
Now, it's not what it looks like. I'm not stealing. Just reimbursing myself for the bus ticket.
Use this. Here, karma +1.
A random act of kindness. Hopefully it'll put a smile on someone's face.
See, this whole idea of pay electric meters is just
It's quiet inside.
insane. Should be illegal. And some people clearly don't have pay electric meters. So putting the coins in the electric meter doesn't have anything to do with that, so let's just splash some water on him.
Good morning.
I'm surprised Jimmy actually
It's you. You made
looks like the way he did in the dreams.
Wait. That's better. Am I really awake?
I can pinch you if you want.
No. I can feel it. Oh, my neck is so stiff. This place stinks. We have to go.
You promise you won't take me anywhere horrible? Like the last time?
It depends. Are you afraid of clowns?
Well, who isn't?
So now we're going on a date with Jimmy?
Are you at least coming in with me this time?
Which is funny because
Oh, you couldn't stop me if you tried.
Zach is also still alive here. I'm surprised they would program it so it works that way. McRonald's.
Well, that was terrifying.
Told you.
Totally worth it, though.
I think I lost my mind there for a second.
Sainsworth
crow.
and
I'm
a
glad you
hotel.
didn't listen to me.
I like to do things my way.
Interesting, they're on the roof again.
Lorelai,
Seems like several of these
thanks for
buildings
waking me up.
are
I'm
right next to each other
sorry it took
and
me so long to
connect
get
with the entire trilogy
here.
of
I had
games.
some urgent stuff to take care of. You know, my sister. and Zach, and the police. But everything suddenly just clicked. And I think I'll actually be alright.
Yeah, I think we're getting the good ending.
I'm happy for you, Lorelai.
I'm not sure there is a bad ending.
You've grown up.
I suppose I have.
Well, I guess there's possibly an ending
Adulthood
where
is
he
like
would have,
waking up from a long dream.
where he would have been
There
dead
will be times you'll wish you were asleep
or
again,
still asleep.
but you can never go back to the same dream, no matter what you do.
So now we get a choice. I'll take your word for it, Jimmy. That wasn't just a dream, it was a nightmare, and I'm glad it's over now. I'll take your word for it, Jimmy. I guess that's what I'll choose.
I'll take your word for it, Jimmy.
Hey, remember that house in the dream world? The one in the fields? Do you miss it?
No, I'm not that greedy. There was an annoying talking crow in the garden. Who would want to live there? I do. That house was kind of awesome. I feel like if I say I do, he might push me off the roof and kill me. No, I'm not that greedy. Was the house kind of awesome? I kind of want to go with this one. As a game player, I am a little greedy. I want a little bit more game here.
I do. That house was kinda awesome. But it's alright. We've got a nice council flat. There's hardly no mold in it, and the neighbors aren't complete twats.
He was talking
has a
about
roof
the
and a
house, the dream
And
house,
it's not in a dream.
not the
So, what now?
Queen of Maggots house.
Well, I'm ready to pull up my sleeves, work hard, and build a proper life for myself.
So the theme
Sounds kind of boring.
does seem to be
Maybe to you.
Be around
weird
the idea of
dream
her
traveling emo.
hesitating
Hey,
to
hey,
live a
watch
regular,
it.
normal life.
You want me to come and spy on your dreams again?
Actually, I dreamt of the Silver Lake last night. Man, it shimmered like real diamonds.
This is very similar to the
Later, I
ending
tell Jimmy
of
about me and Zach moving into a new flat together.
the cat lady,
I tell
which
him that my fears of
it was
losing
fairly
Bethany to
surprising
social
they even
services
have
proved
something.
pointless, and that she'd been able to stay with us. We're a little family now. I managed to keep my job at the Pinecroft residential home. Zach's back to his games, keeping an eye on Bethany when I'm not there. With us looking after her, she's never gonna cry again.
So Bethany could be a character in a fourth game if you're going to make a fourth game. I don't know if there's a real reason to make a fourth game, though.
Can you smell it too? Something's burning. I hope it's not my hard drive.
Interesting. So we're going to walk through here and it's going to be the fire and the Queen of Maggots on fire. So they're like a proper family.
Something's wrong. Why is there all this smoke?
So were they cooking or did they just burn something?
Just before Christmas, Marjorie passes away.
Getting quite the wrap up.
She never spoke to me, and yet it hurts.
I guess maybe at some point there was some way I may have been able to interact with Marjorie more. That seems weird.
Everyday life can be a drag. Work, shopping, cleaning. All the mundane routines we lock ourselves into. I can feel that with every obstacle, I'm headed towards a breakdown. And not just me.
You can see like all the alcoholic people in line there. They all have these bars above their
At
heads,
least Al's doing fine. He's still
indicating
fighting the
that
good
they're
fight.
close to breaking down and becoming monsters/parasites.
I keep asking myself, is this the life I was fighting for?
I think it was.
Was it all worth it?
Maybe.
And every time these thoughts come back to haunt me, I close my eyes.
Yeah, it seems like you're gonna get slightly a bad
I
ending
see
no
this
matter
place.
what.
My own world inside me that keeps reminding me who I am.
Or perhaps this is the middle, the mushy middle ending.
A survivor. A powerful, unstoppable being.
I just finished playing the Walking Dead Telltale game series, and I would say this is a better ending than that. It's more earned. It feels more
Then I
earned.
open my eyes.
You can see her sanity is refilling and growing stronger. So it definitely feels like there would have been an ending here where you would have fallen directly into insanity and become the Queen of Maggots. This is a little weird to end a horror game with a good ending. I definitely didn't get that with Downfall. In fact, the remaster of Downfall I didn't really like, but maybe I'd be willing to use a walkthrough to play it a second time. Though if I was to play it a second time, in the same way, if I was going to play this, Everything You've Ever Wanted is on the Other Side of Fear, George Adair. I would have to play the Downfall remake as a total jerk, and I think the exact same case would be for this game too. I would have to just be a total jerk. Probably for the cat lady too. I'd have to use a walkthrough to try and get the worst possible endings. So now we'll see how many people worked on this game. Lorelai, I guess voice actors are being now mentioned in the same way as programmers and animators. So it really feels like it still was like one programmer, one animator, and then a collection of voice actors, which that's fine. That worked very nicely. And yeah, once again, this game looks way better because they're using Unity, but he didn't really do a lot with Unity. Soldier? What soldier are they talking about? I don't remember seeing a soldier. Yeah. I feel like the idea there's a Jim Sterling. I wonder if that's the YouTuber Jim Sterling that voiced it. he does on occasion do voice acting. I've stopped following him, so I don't know. Editing mostly by the main guy. Way more songs in this game than the Cat Lady. Although, frankly, I still feel like the heavy metal rock music that played right after you chopped off your arm in the Cat Lady was much more impactful because you just didn't see it coming. Or I didn't see it coming, definitely. I would say that this game was fairly light on horrific imagery compared to the Cat Lady and bad guys that actually fight and kill. Instead, it was had much more of the normal day life stuff. There was some of that in the Cat Lady too, but yeah, it was definitely a different theme there and a different plot. I'd also say the Cat Lady's plot gets kind of crazy at the end too, and we know that Rim is the creator of the game, and he's Polish, even though he spent a long time in the UK, which there's probably a great argument he could make, and I don't know his personal life enough to make it for him, that his being Polish but growing up and spending a lot of time in a different culture probably did color his mentality and his experiences and his way of thinking, and created this very unique storytelling and unique world building that he has done with the Devil Came Through Here trilogy, which I still feel like that's a terrible made using Adventure Creator for using Unity, and then published by Screen 7. Screen 7 is about 50-50 on whether they publish something good or not. Made by Harvester Games. And I guess I would eagerly be looking forward to the next Harvester game outside of this trilogy. And I wouldn't mind one bit if it's still flat 2D animation, if it was just slightly more polished animation. So, couple of questions here. We now can see that this overlay rain sequence was by far the most polished 3D visualization that we had in the game, and they pretty much stopped doing a lot of the visual graphic gimmicks halfway through. Let's see, we don't really have anything, and if I hit continue, I guess we are.
Something's wrong. Why is there all this smoke?
Interesting. Why would I be allowed to continue here in specific? Because it's not like you have anything. Cup of water.
Cold water. Perfect.
So, use cold water with oven.
That's not gonna work.
Use cold water. Yeah,
That's not it.
I think. Yeah, this just looks like it's a burned turkey. Is all that looks like. It doesn't look like it's a pig head or anything like that.
Just before
And see, yeah, there's kind of nothing more different there. So I guess that's just to let you see the ending. So we've only been going about 24 minutes. So I want to do something. So I want to bring up the Steam page on my secondary screen, and I want to see where Lorelai's achievements are lined up to, because this game does have achievements. Alright, so see if I can figure this out pretty well without messing up anything. Alright, so there's achievements for doing all 7 of the chapters. That makes sense. Then there seems to be achievements for doing a lot of things that were secondary. For instance, there's one called the Dog Gentleman, which obviously is about getting Zach to talk about the games he made. But there is clearly a secondary achievement for making Owl drink, which pretty much means you can't get those achievements unless you play a second time. And then there's the Kitchen's on Fire achievement. And then a Life Starts Here, and a First Cigarette achievement, and something called Coffee. Interesting. So there's... You would definitely have to play the game a second time using an achievement guide if you wanted to get everything. There's an achievement called Don't Feed the Crow. There's one apparently called Dead End. The Kitchen's on Fire is like the second hardest, second least common one. And then there's an achievement just called The Devil Came Through Here, which, yeah, I have no idea there. A significant amount of people, as it typically is, did not make it to the end of this game. But compared to most games, the percentage is actually very high at 56.9% beating Chapter 7, which that is much higher. Usually, most games you see like 10-20% of players make it to the don't make it to the end. Hey, well, oddly, it doesn't feel as impactful, and so it doesn't feel like there's a lot more to say here. And the idea of having achievements and being more video game focused instead of just focusing on the story is actually something that I kind of don't like. So, yeah, I guess we've been going long enough that this can be a separate episode by itself. But yeah, I played this game, which was half novel and half very loose puzzles and adventure, the way I wanted to play it. So I'd have to really think hard about whether I would want to play it a second time in a year or so, or probably a long time from that. I've got other horror games to play. It probably should be no less than 3 to 4 years minimum before I even thought about playing the Cat Lady again. And I don't know if I really want to change the outcome or just live with my decisions. There is a interesting, almost direct comparison between Telltale games like The Walking Dead and The Devil Came Through Here trilogy, in that both games are kind of light on gameplay mechanics. There's actually probably more gameplay in The Devil Came Through Here than the Telltale games, and both games are about dialogue and story, except for the difference here is that the Devil Came Through Here trilogy was written by one person who was passionate, and the Telltale Walking Dead series had multiple episodes in each of the 4 seasons, each written by someone different, and sometimes they were passionate and sometimes they weren't so passionate, but at the end of the day it wouldn't have mattered because their stories just did not have the same tone and writing because it was different people writing it. So yeah, if I could somehow take back all the time I spent playing the Telltale games, I would, in favor of playing The Devil Came Through a second time, or just playing different games. But yeah, it's not quite as impactful as I would have thought, and not quite as horrific. It almost feels like you should probably play the Lorelai game first, and then play the Cat Lady, or then play Downfall, then play the Cat Lady, which chronologically it seems like it works that way. There are definitely some people also that just showed up in this story that didn't seem like they mattered, and definitely felt like there were some options that didn't really matter that much. I'm possibly would have gotten an achievement had I read those torn up letters in like chapter 2, or inquired more or snooped more, but otherwise it seems like not much would have changed. Our two co-workers at the nursing home, those two girls, never really got a comeuppance, which they kind of deserved. It almost does feel like it might be worth it if there were more annoying characters like the co-workers who are pulling tricks or acting as barriers or points of frustration to Lorelai. Then it would almost make sense that you might want to go back and play the game and just ruin the lives and potentially murder your co-workers and murder Al, because the path to keep him from drinking is like too long and difficult. So like there very well could be a lazy path that you could put in a game like this, where you do all the bad things just to speed up the story and the gameplay. But I don't think that's really there in this story. We're not getting a full wrap up, really. Lorelai is still just a young character. They didn't skip forward to show her grow old with Zach and possibly even have children of her own. But yeah, I guess the truth is a story like this could just keep on going and keep on going, because you have such a younger character. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else to say. Like, the story told it itself. So I'm gonna end this series here. It feels a little awkward, this ending. I'll probably go online and look up other endings for Lorelai and see if there's a horrifically terrible ending. But yeah, I won't mention that. You might want to check it yourself. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. I want to remind you also, on my YouTube channel there's a playlist tab which has a playlist for every game I've ever covered, so you could go watch me struggle through Downfall and then watch me have a better time with the Cat Lady. I feel like the Cat Lady still is by far the outstanding game of the trilogy. Or if you just want to watch me play other games, perhaps not scary horror games, I do cover those too. And then finally, if you want to support me further, you could support me via the link down below to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wish list or a gift card. That would be very helpful also. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.